Hi again, here we are at the World Football Summit 19 in Madrid. I remember the first time I went to Anfield, and I remember it was a game in between Liverpool FC and Arsenal. It was like the quarterfinals of the Champions League, and I remember that once I stepped in the stadium, it was everything. Everything was special. I remember the stands, the people, the atmosphere, even the grass was special. Estoy contando que la primera vez que yo fui a Anfield, que será un partido de octavos de final o cuartos de final de la Champions entre el Arsenal y el Liverpool, todo era especial porque desde las gradas hasta el césped, los vestuarios, la atmósfera, todo era especial. That's why Anfield and Liverpool FC is so special. The title of the next panel is what it means to never walk alone. You know the song, the Liverpool FC anthem, which says something like, walk on with open your heart. I mean, it's the most famous anthem of all the world of football. So that's why for me it's a pleasure to introduce to you to Peter Moore, CEO of Liverpool FC and a legend of Liverpool FC that won the European Cup in 1884. Please, with all of you, welcome Peter Moore and Michael Robinson.
Seats. Thank you for coming along. For me, it's going to be an absolute pleasure. I'm such a lucky guy. I get to do lots of lovely things in my career. And to be able to have an interview and have a chat with the CEO of Liverpool Football Club is an unbelievable pleasure for me. So, Peter, thank you very much for coming here. And it's a delight to have this chat with you.
My pleasure, and it's an important part of the year for us right now, but the opportunity to come to Madrid and spend time with you as a legend of this football club is equally my pleasure.
Well, there won't be a big cup for you to take home afterwards.
Got plenty of those.
The last time you was here, you took home with your massive big cup with big ears.
Big ears.
Yeah. That's, well, I think it's great, the fact that the CEO of Liverpool Football Club is a Scouser, is from Liverpool. But I don't think that's necessary, but you're also a fan. You're one of the few people that's been to Anfield when the Reds were playing in the second division, and we didn't used to sing You'll Never Walk Alone. But being a fan, does that affect you when it comes to taking decisions and going through your day-to-day work?
Absolutely. Yeah, my first time at Anfield was 1959. My dad took me to see Liverpool versus Leyton Orient. We won 4-3. We were still in the second division. Bill Shankly was still to arrive at Anfield, albeit he came the following month. You'll Never Walk Alone was still 4 years, and Jerry and the Pacemakers hitting the charts in England. And yeah, I became a fan that day. I can still remember the sights, the sounds, the smells, the uniqueness that is Anfield. Fast forward 60 plus years, and I'm being recruited by Fenway Sports Group to be the chief executive officer. And a lot of the conversations we were having at that point was, is being a fan a plus or a negative? Is understanding what the football club, the people, the city of Liverpool, the history of the football club, sometimes a burden when you have to make difficult decisions as a chief executive. In the end, fortunately, we figured it was a plus, and here I am. But each day that I operate the club at the business level, there is always a little bit of a challenge when I have to put the fan in me to one side and think about the long-term future of the football club, protecting that football club, protecting our business, making sure that Jurgen Klopp and Michael Edwards, our sporting director, have all of the resources they need. So it's a balance every single day.
Well, you've been an extremely successful executive in your working life with Sega, with Microsoft, with EA, and in gaming. Of course, with IT, technology tends to be obedient, and it does what it's supposed to do, what it says.
Sometimes.
But you're now into something that's got such a human effect. I know you've got loads of feedback from your different products that you've done, from people all around the world, but Liverpool Football Club is tremendously humane. It affects people's lives, their emotions. How does it differ, the feedback from when you was the executive in technology to being the most important executive of Liverpool Football Club? That is something that affects so many people's lives.
Well, you could argue that the same thing was the case whether I was at Sega and we were launching the Dreamcast, the first ever online gaming console that affected millions of people's lives. Even more importantly, running the Xbox for Bill Gates at Microsoft and building Xbox Live, which has now become 60, 70 million people who log in and play games through an online network. And the last 10 years, Electronic Arts, and helping that company go from a manufacturing company, manufacturing discs, creating content, to a full-on digital company. The one constant through all of that was the gamer, and interacting with that gamer and engaging with that gamer who was giving us his or her money, and we had an obligation to be transparent, to inform, to have empathy for them, and to let them know what was going on in our world. And that's something that I understood, and those are the lessons I've taken to Liverpool, an incredibly unique football club, incredibly unique people, incredibly unique city, who demand accountability from the chief executive for every decision I make, for every move off the field and on the field. And so those lessons that I learned in technology, of giving technology a human face, which was my role. I'm not a technologist. I can't write code. What I gave at Sega and at Xbox and at EA was the face of that technology, and tried my best to give a human side to that technology. I was the guy on stage. I was the guy that explained it. And I try to take those lessons to Liverpool. I'm the guy that explains sometimes difficult decisions we make as a football club that I believe are for the longer term benefit of the club, but in the short term, fans disagree. I have no issues being upfront and taking the slings and arrows accordingly, but that's just the nature of what this job is. If you're the chief executive of Liverpool Football Club, you need to expect that. You owe it to these wonderful people, hundreds of millions of fans around the world. The weight of expectations are on your shoulders, and you better explain yourself.
Yeah, but you've come from the paddock at Anfield, watching the second division, to sitting in the director's box of the team that's actually champion of Europe. What's different with your own emotions from being in the paddock to being in the director's box? Do you feel it? Do you get to feel frightened? Do you get really nervous? Do you experiment emotions that you never thought you'd feel?
There's a certain protocol in the director's box. When we score, which is a lot of the time, there's an acceptance I can stand up and applaud. I don't scream and punch the air and gloat over the visiting directors who are sat to my left. There's a protocol that we think. Inside, I am screaming. But I have to control that. And my wife, who's here, sits next to me and can feel it in there. We played Chelsea the weekend. We won 2-1. If you watch the game, the last 20 minutes were a little tense. We gave up a goal, and I was physically exhausted, and I'm just sat in my seat in the director's box. Why? First of all, I'm a fan. Secondly, the nature of the Premier League, the most competitive sports league in the world now, means you can't drop a point. Last year, we got 97 points. We lost one game, and we didn't win. So when Chelsea are attacking, that is what's going through my head. And when the final whistle went, it wasn't joy, it was relief.
Yeah. You see, I get as a fan watching the game, I get obviously involved emotionally. And many's a day, and I should know better, I think, this isn't fair. I hate this bloody game. It's not fair. You see, it's an uncertain science. 2 and 2 really make 4 in football. You can play great and the ball hits the post. You can play crap and win. How do you take that into account, or don't you take it into account?
You accept the fact that over a 38-game Premier League season, played in all conditions, away at Burnley on a Monday night in a snowstorm, that there are things that will go one way or the other way. You add VAR into that now, and there's all kinds of variables. From the perspective of what you have to have in your head is that it's a long season. Last year we played for nearly 13 months and ended up, as you point out, as champions of Europe. But played for 38 games in the world's toughest league, only lost one game. A 79th minute winner from Sane of Manchester City was the difference between us winning the league and not. And you just have to shrug your shoulders. And what we say at Liverpool is, we go again.
Liverpool is one of these clubs, and I don't mean this with any disrespect to any other football club or to any other football fans that love their clubs. Perhaps I'm saying it because I'm a Liverpool fan, but I do believe that Liverpool Football Club has a sort of VAT added to it, an added value. We've not won the league since 1988-89. We've never won the Premiership,
Right.
but I don't think we've got one less fan than before. It might well be if we had more continued success in the league, we'd have more. But do you understand that value-added element of being a Red?
Absolutely. And when I first came to the club as a marketer, I wanted to break down exactly what that means. Because it's one thing saying Liverpool's special, Liverpool's unique. Real Madrid, Barcelona, Borussia Dortmund, Bayern Munich, Everton, Manchester United, they're special, they're unique. But Liverpool has that certain essence, and it's built in success, failure, tragedy, the expectations of the people of Liverpool, who at times had very little other than football, and I grew up in the 60s, and that's all we had. Going to see Bill Shankly's team, and before the paddock, I was in the boys' pen, was all we looked forward to when we were in school. We knew that we were going to see Ron Yates and Ian St. John and Roger Hunt at Anfield against whomever. And so when I first arrived, our marketing team and ourselves, we got together and said, how do we distill this down? And how do we take what is now the best coach in the world, Jurgen Klopp, and meld that together? We have this incredible historical figure now, Bill Shankly, a socialist from Scotland who built the platform. And still to this day, when we talk about business, we talk about what would Shankly do? What would Bill say in this situation? A true socialist that believed football was about working together. He built the concept of pass and move. When you played, Shankly's words were still there. Paisley, Fagan took that on. And so we said, well, let's try to put this together in words, and let's then build a video around that we think would exemplify what that means. The words we landed on were, this means more. This means more than just winning and losing. This means more than showing up for a football match, having a good time, going to the pub and leaving. To the people of Liverpool and the 700 million followers this football club has around the world, it truly means more. So we're going to run a video here. And Roberto, if you could run that video, please. I think this gives you the essence of Liverpool Football Club.
This is Anfield. These are our streets. These are our routines. This is our home. These are our Saturdays, our nights after school. These are our colors, our flags, our pubs, our gates, our mates, our crest, our words, which stand alone. This is the man who started it all, and this was his favorite place. This is the cop where we taught the rest how to sing. This is the pitch where we once watched the king. These are the stairs we walked up hand in hand, and these are the lights that light up the dark. These are the good times, and these are the bad times. This is what doubt looks like. This is how heartbreak feels. And this is how you fight back. This is refusing to know when you're down. This is support. This is community. This is solidarity. This is how you hold your head up high when the storm is all around you. This is how you fight for what you believe in when everyone else doubts you. This is the first time. This is the 100th time. These are the reasons to look forward to the end of the shift, to the end of the week, to the end of the storm. This is the team we'll always adore. For others it's sport, for us it's a way of life. They have a stadium, we have a home. They have songs, we have an anthem. They have a manager, we have a guardian. They have supporters, we are a family. We are Liverpool. This means more.
Yes, it does. It does mean more. It's a very special place. I never got over walking onto Anfield. I've played lots of football games for lots of clubs. It's true, I was a Liverpool fan, and it meant a bit more. But I must confess something to you, Peter, that I'd gone to play for against Liverpool with other teams, and that meant leaving a dressing room on the left and going down some stairs and then going up some stairs. And the last thing you saw was that emblem, this is Anfield, and then the other team had come out, Liverpool, just when they start to sing You'll Never Walk Alone. And using a visiting player, an away team player, you feel like a lamb on its way to the slaughter. There's no way you can win. And Liverpool was the best team then. And then some years later, my dream come true. And I changed my clothes in the dressing room on the right. And you walk down them stairs, and I went down fifth. My 4 teammates kissed the emblem, and we walked out to You'll Never Walk Alone. The team talk I'd had was the most unique team talk I'd ever had in my life. Mr. Fagan didn't speak about football. He stood at the door when we had to go out, and he said, by the way, boys, these people have earned their money very difficultly, and they've decided to spend it to come and love you. Please love them back. And then you go onto the pitch, You Never Walk Alone. And I thought, oh my God, I'm scared. I'm scared. I would have changed my place to be one of those lambs on the way to the slaughterhouse, because you think, can you give back so much love? Are you big enough? Are you man enough? And I don't think I was. But we were lucky enough to win things and European Cups. You are now the most important man at Liverpool Football Club. And successes come to you. And things are going back. We're back. We're back. Do you find in your day-to-day life and with your wife Debbie in Liverpool, you're recognised for what's happening?
Yeah, I mean, I don't go out a lot in Liverpool. For a lot of reasons. It's not that I feel threatened in any way. Look, we're champions of Europe. But at the same time, it's the pressure you feel that you're only as good as your last game. You're only as good as what you're giving these people every single day, because they've got nothing else in a lot of instances. I've had one bad experience where I was grabbed, and it was after a game which we were just disastrous, and I've not forgotten that. At the same time, 99 times out of 100, people will come up, say, I love what you're doing, I love what the club's doing, I love our manager, I love our team, it all feels like it's coming together. But, you know, you have your incidents, and I'll give you an example. 3 days on the job. So June 2017, I've been away from the UK for 40 years. I'm at the corporate offices. I don't even know where the Starbucks is. I find the Starbucks outside, and I'm walking back. And it was during a time when we were trying to sign, for the first time, Virgil van Dijk. And we got ourselves in a little bit of a mess with Southampton at that point. And the day before, we issued an apology because we had allegedly gone around things the wrong way. And I'll always remember this, and you'll love the Scouse humor in this, and I'm going to swear. I apologize, but this is a verbatim quote. I have 2 cups of coffee in my hand, I'm walking back, and a Scouser's walking up the other side of the street and shouts at me in that classic Scouse accent, instead of buying fucking Starbucks, you should have bought fucking Van Dijk, you wanker. And just kept walking the other way. And I thought, I'm back. I'm back in Liverpool. Yeah. And it was, and we didn't break stride. Yeah. I smiled at him. He just kept walking. But that Liverpool humor, that sense of passion and the acerbic wit. And you know, I bump into people all the time. And people are wonderful, and when things are going well, they're wonderful. Even when we lose games, it's more, we go again. We're going to get them next time.
You see, Liverpool has got an owner. Everybody's got an owner, and one thing or another. But
we don't have an owner. We have stewards.
That's right. I was going to say you can't really own any football club more over that. And the owners do know that, yeah?
Yeah, my boss, Mike Gordon, and the principal partners, John Henry and Tom Werner, will always describe themselves as stewards of the club. And Mike would say, look, we have the economic rights to do business on behalf of the club, but the people own the club. And what they've done over the past, what is now 9 years since they have been the stewards of the football club, is nothing short for me of miraculous. We lived through some dark times of difficult ownership period. The fans stood up against those owners and said, this is not what we want for the way that Liverpool Football Club should be run. And Fenway Sports Group now, it was New England Sports Ventures, came in and acquired the club and have sat back and invested patiently and built a long-term strategy for success, have rebuilt a major part of the stadium so we can drive revenues, have eventually got Jurgen Klopp, have invested in the squad, in the backbone of the squad with Alisson Becker in goal, Virgil van Dijk. I would argue we have the most exciting forward line in football. And all of that has come over a period of seasons. And to the credit of those stewards, Fenway Sports Group, they've gone through some difficult times, up and down, and yet have stayed the course, have never taken a penny out of the football club, but rather have invested in a new main stand in the stadium. Just finishing up the finishing touches, Melwood will be closed, and we'll all move to Kirby, so finally all of the football teams for Liverpool are on one facility. And Melwood will be sad. You train there, you know what Melwood means, but we need to be, we're back on our perch, as we famously say, and we need to have capital investment throughout the club, the squad, and making sure that we have a world-class training center, and that's what we will have in Kirby starting next season here.
There's, in your previous industry, that we'll go on to speak shortly about a big investment that you're doing, but there's logarithms that tell you the worth of things, yeah? There's a way of calculating certain financial elements, success and failure and one thing or another. How do you calculate how much is a football player worth? Because the history is plagued with people that you didn't think could probably do that good and they finish up being amazing, and other people who are fantastic in one club and then come all, and it doesn't seem to work. So in so much as 2 and 2 don't always make 4, yeah. Do you guys have a way of understanding how much we need to invest in that human being?
Yes, I think there are ways that we apply both from a, if you will, an analog way in which it's looking at a player and assessing what that player is about, not only on the pitch but off the pitch. And then secondarily, we apply science. We have 4 PhDs that are part of our football club. We have a director of sports science that is a PhD that looks at data and famously will look at games without watching a game. Now, what does that mean? He looks at the data and the output, and there's an interview you'll find in the New York Times where Dr. Ian Graham sat down with Jurgen Klopp and went through Borussia Dortmund's games and analyzed individual players, and Jurgen says, you must have watched all of these. He said, I actually didn't. I looked at the data. But there's a merging of that data and then experienced eyes, so the analog and the digital come together. And a lot of that legacy is the belief that John Henry, Tom Werner, Mike Gordon have in owning the Boston Red Sox. And famously, a team that hadn't won, you think Liverpool has a tough time, had not won the World Series for 86 years, but applied science and technology to analyzing players, understanding what players they need for the Red Sox to create the best chance to win. And here we sit now with the Red Sox having not won for 86 years, now 4 times World Series champions. And it's that combination, that amalgamation of an experienced eye of looking at an athlete, combined with data, combined with psychological outputs that say this person is a good player for the best Boston Red Sox. He's also a good human being in the locker room, as they call it here. In the same way that you tell me a story about being a good person, first of all, that happens to be a great football player that you need to be to play for Liverpool Football Club. And when I look at our squad and knowing most of the players, they fit that bill. So it's this combination in modern football now. And the way we're organized is we have a sporting director who's akin to a general manager in American sports. I don't have anything to do with that. I run the business of Liverpool Football Club. The specialty experience of our sporting director, he and his scouting staff and analytical staff are the ones that build the squad. Jurgen Klopp, as the manager, gets the best out of that squad. And together, we come together as an entity with Billy Hogan, our chief commercial officer, and we are fundamentally what I believe is the essence of what a modern football club needs to be organized, needs to have a culture to build on success, where you have subject matter experts in their own fields that all come together as one.
You've just made an investment of £16 million in digital business, to telephone, website, etc., to try and serve your the worldwide fans. Exactly what I've seen the headlines, yeah, and I've read a bit about it, but I don't know exactly what it's about. You wanted to reach the Reds around the world, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody knows we're a big football club, but what does that mean? And when I arrived at Liverpool, I come from a world of data. And everybody said, well, we're a big club. I said, okay, let's put some numbers against it. Billy and his team had already contracted with Repucom Nielsen, which is the world's biggest research company, and they defined that we had 771 million people who, quote unquote, followed Liverpool Football Club. Now, whether you believe, that's a lot of people. But there are hundreds of millions of people that love this football club. My job is to engage with them, to give them information, to develop content every hour of every day, which we do through LFC TV, to do what I used to yearn for living in San Francisco, is that connection. Yeah. I'm thousands of miles away from Liverpool, but I would watch the content, the interviews. I would engage in a very different way, and it was all through technology. We're building our capability in mobile. We're building back-end database management. We're building networking infrastructure. Our websites, our e-commerce sites are all being revamped, all with one singular objective, which is to add greater value to a Liverpool supporter, regardless of where he or she lives. And ultimately, to allow them to be part of this virtuous cycle that football is nowadays. Football is very simple. You drive your revenues so you can afford to buy a goalkeeper or a center back who will win you games. You win games, and sponsors, global sponsors, want to be a part of your story, and they write you a check, and you take that money and you buy better players, and they win you more games, and that is the virtuous cycle.
So 16 million is like a not bad left back.
It's too good left back, because that's, if you look at Andy Robertson. No, I mean, regardless of the money, this is about engagement. This is about things that I yearn for as a fan. I wanted to get closer to the club, but I was 8 time zones and thousands of miles away. Engaging content. We put 2 players together as what we call in Liverpool bezies, if you remember that, best friends. And this content brings the human side of our players out, and our fans lap it up and they love it. We have LFC TV. We have LFC TV Go. We have an LFC.com, LiverpoolFC.com, that is constantly bringing you up to speed. We cover our press conferences. An important part of our growth is our women's program, our academy program, where Jurgen looks at players coming through. And tonight we're playing in the Carabao Cup, and I can almost guarantee you're going to see some of those young academy players playing against the MK Dons tonight. So Liverpool fans just yearn for info. It's not just what goes on a weekend. This is 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. They want to understand what's going on. They want behind the scenes. And the thing we find is those little camera angles that don't give you, that a Sky Sports or a BT don't capture when they're doing it. We have this thing called Inside Anfield, which are cameras in the tunnels. And they capture conversations, and watch Jurgen when he comes off after a victory, or Sadio Mane or Mohamed Salah talking to opposing players. And that behind-the-scenes stuff shows the human side of players, and it gives you a layer down of what this football club is all about. And that's what our fans want.
I think it was Karl Marx mentioned that, he said that religion was the opium of the masses, yeah? Would you say today in 2019, football is almost like the opium of the masses, that universal religion?
Yeah, I think when you think about football today, and I'll give you the best example of Karl Marx would have loved to have been on the parade bus.
It'd have been a red.
It'd have totally been well, clearly was a red. But if he'd have been on that parade bus on June the 2nd, we had left here, Madrid, the morning we needed to get back to our people. The team, regardless of what they had done after we had won that game, many of them didn't go to bed. They jumped on the plane because we owed it to bring the European Cup back that afternoon to Liverpool.
To John Lennon Airport.
To John Lennon International Airport. And we brought that cup back, and we started off in Allerton, and we ended up on the Strand, right by the Liver building. And that took us 4 hours to go through the streets of Liverpool.
Traffic's terrible these days.
It is, particularly when you have 750,000 mad Liverpool fans who just want a glimpse of big ears, of that cup. And our goal was to show them that. Our goal was to stop Jurgen Klopp falling off the bus. Our goal was to bring the joy into these people's lives that they don't have in their day-to-day lives. And we set off and we went up Queen's Drive and Mather Avenue and came back through some of the most impoverished postcodes in the United Kingdom, because we have those in Liverpool. And I'm looking down, and I'm one of these moments, of my life that I pinch myself. I'm on the bus with the European Cup right there. I'm looking at these people. I got Andy Robertson, James Milner, Virgil van Dijk, Sadio Mane. Why am I here? I don't know. I'm just a lad from Garston. But I'm looking at these people's faces, and they're grown men who are sobbing because we had shown them the European Cup. And these are people that have nothing else but Liverpool Football Club. Their affinity to this football club is all they have. And those 4 hours were the most unbelievable 4 hours of my life that cemented in my mind why I do this job. If I'm adding just a tenth of the value of what I've learned in my life to help these people in their lives by bringing this cup back, and I had nothing to do with bringing this cup back. That was Divock Origi and Mohamed Salah. But what a life-changing 4 hours that was for me.
Those tears that you witnessed on the streets of Liverpool, a year before, there was also tears because we didn't bring it back. Mm-hmm. And there was something amazing that went viral of Jurgen Klopp in the team hotel having a beer with some fans.
Yeah.
And he seemed to be positive, intact, singing away, having a glass of beer once we'd lost. Some people would have thought, well, what's he doing? Well, I'm crying, you're having a glass of beer with these people. And there were certain comments along those lines and other comments of what a great human being, yeah? So we've seen your manager with fans after losing, and then 12 months later, it's winning. Jurgen Klopp. Obviously, every Liverpool fan is delighted with him, but you practically live with him. Speak to us about him. What sort of character is he to work with day to day?
Yeah, on top of what you just said, you have to remember that was the 5th cup final he had lost. He'd never won a cup final. Jurgen is one of the more holistic human beings you'll ever meet. And I say that, is he the best coach in the world right now? FIFA thinks so. And that was the award he picked up in Milan the other night. But he will sit down and he will say at times, it's only football. Because he is a man of the world, he's cosmopolitan in his views, he's liberal in his outlook, he loves the players, but he has this mentality that, look, the old Liverpool saying, don't love us when we win if you're going to hate us when we lose. Yeah. And so you've got the broader picture. And in his mind, he was already thinking about, all right, we're going to get back next year. And we did. And we won it. And so Jurgen's view is, and I think the psychology there is that you've got to raise the players. You can't leave the players in the doldrums. It was a bad night in Kiev. It was an awful night in Kiev. Not just that we lost, but the nature of how we lost. Fast forward 12 months later, what a wonderful night in Madrid. However, what most Liverpool fans will say, we actually won that game in Anfield 3 weeks prior.
Yeah.
And that was the night when you thought we can get this done. And really, and no disrespect to Tottenham Hotspurs, but that was kind of just the icing on the cake. The cake was baked against Barcelona in one of the greatest nights, if not the greatest night in Anfield football history, in the semi-final second leg.
Yeah, I was there. I in fact thought exactly what you just said until I thought, wow, we'll win now. We'll beat Tottenham. If we beat Tottenham again, we'll get to keep them. Tottenham can't beat us until you realise that, well, they could. I mean,
yeah.
They could. All of a sudden I started getting frightened because I saw that we were so much favourites. We're bound to win. But of course, that's when you lose.
Exactly. And you look at, to Tottenham's credit, what they did against Ajax in that second leg. Arguably two of the greatest second legs in Champions League history. But what Jurgen's able to do is keep that ship going straight, to motivate people, not just the guys on the pitch, his staff, his coaching staff, his sports science staff, the people that travel with the team, the backbone of the backroom staff, and he keeps everybody on an even keel. His personality is infectious. His charisma is without question, but he is a people person to the nth. And he will make you feel, even when you've lost, that there is a brighter sunshine ahead somewhere. And he was exactly right.
Yeah. Well, I can't let you go without asking you, is it as you imagined?
No. You come into your football club with the view of a fan, and you then learn about what it takes to deliver football every weekend seamlessly, safely, enjoyably, and you understand. In my case, I have 800 plus people who don't kick a football for Liverpool. I often say, thank goodness. But those people do yeoman's work, and they make sure Anfield is a magnificent place to visit. We've won the Visit Football Award from the Premier League for 4 years in a row for the best stadium to visit for a game day experience. So whilst we all enjoy Sadio and Bobby and Mo and Big Verge at the back, there's so much that goes into that is invisible to the fan that they, I know, don't take for granted, but they assume it all goes well. When you get under the underbelly of what it takes to run a football club and the 24/7 work that people do, who nobody would ever notice walking down the streets of Liverpool, but are so integral to all of that, you realize what it means to be Liverpool Football Club. There's so many, there's the stewards on the cop, the people who will serve you a cold beer in 3.9 seconds from the bottom up serve, because that's what needs to happen at halftime. The people who greet you as you're walking up Stanley Park. The policemen who are sometimes Evertonians and grit their teeth working the Anfield shift. Make sure that you know where you're going. The people who greet you on the door. And then when you leave, regardless of the result, say, have a great evening, have a great afternoon. And I never knew all of that because I'm a fan, and I took it for granted. Because as far as I was concerned, football started when the referee blew his whistle. And what I've learned in 2.5 years is so much more behind that. And I'm delighted to be at the helm, I think, of the biggest football club in the world.
And we're delighted that you're the helm, and we're delighted that you're here with us. Mr. Morse, you'll surely never walk alone. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Cheers. Thank you.
Thank you very much to Michael Robinson and Mr. Moore. Thanks a lot. In 5 minutes, we'll be right back here with the last panel before lunch, before the lunch break. It's going to be based on the future of professional clubs in world football. En 5 minutitos volvemos aquí en este escenario principal para hablar del futuro de los clubes a nivel profesional. Aquí en 5 minutos. Thank you.